Well, we're very excited to go to India, to Shyam Konnur. We're going to Pune, and an LGBT activist, as we said in the introduction. Thank you for joining us this evening at Queer News Tonight. It's actually very late there. It's 10:30 in the evening, and your local time. We're happy to have you. I don't know, Shyam, if you realize, as an activist for LGBT, in India, India of all of the countries in the world for American LGBTQ community is probably, since the beginning of the year of 2023, a country that we're following the closest, because India seems to be in the news every single day in America. We report it frequently at Queer News Tonight about what's going on in expansion of LGBT rights, specifically with the Supreme Court and decisions about marriage equality, etc. Tell us first, before we get into any specific issues, just tell us broadly what life is like in India for our American LGBT audience, what life in India is like for being LGBTQ.
So I think in India, people look forward to someone who can lead them. And that's why when you see, as soon as 377 was read down, there were a lot of people who started accepting LGBTQ people. So similarly, they talk about culture, they talk about religion to avoid giving rights to people. So right now with 377 going away, we are only, we have the rights to have sex, or your existence is accepted. Other than that, there's no other rights that Indian LGBTQ people have. No rights to be together. As an LGBTQ person, they can't adopt a child, they can't get married, so they can't get insurance for their partner. So generally, they do not have any rights at all right now in India, because 377 only reads down the sexual act to be legal, not anything else apart from that.
Yes, and Shyam, in terms of what you're referring to as 377, we've reported on it frequently at Queer News Tonight, but for our American audience, our English-speaking American audience, explain what 377 in India is all about.
Yeah, so I think in most of the countries where British ruled, Section 377 is applied. So similarly in India, it was for unnatural sex or sex that does not procreate. Media around starts posting it as gay sex, but it also applied for even a heterosexual person if it was reported. But generally no one gets into their bedroom, so only people who were targeted were LGBTQ people. So any sex that does not give a birth to child or does not procreate was illegal under Section 377, which is now changed. It's just been amended. It's not been taken away. It's been amended to any consenting adults having sex is legal. That's what it's changed to.
Right. So 377 has now eliminated the illegal status of homosexual sexual activity in India. Okay, so and tell us a bit about what we're watching in the news about your court system and the consideration of the possibility of expanded marriage rights or relationship rights. Where is that in India as we watch it from America?
So looking at what's happening right now in court, I think it looks positive with all the recent judgments that the recent Supreme Court judge has been giving is very progressive. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping that they can't just jump on giving the judgment. So there are dates coming. There are more people filing for petitions from the community. So it looks very positive. I think we have hopes, maybe this year or maybe next year. Or something.
Yeah. So you think, Shyam, that there's a possibility that marriage could be recognized as early as this year in India for gay men or for the LGBTQ community?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's very exciting. Let's talk about a couple of the other real cultural things. Great opportunity. I'm live with you right now in Pune. In India, Mumbai, Delhi, etc., other major metropolitan cities. What is gay life like in India? Do you have gay bars? Do you have gay festivals and events? Is it like what we see in America, or is it different?
It's very different, I would say. We do have a lot of events, especially before 377. I feel the community was very united, and we had too many events in big cities like uh, Bangalore, Delhi, Bombay, and things like where I am right now had maybe smaller events. Post 377, I think people feel very liberated, so they don't need just specific queer space to be at. So they're a little bit reduced, but we still do have prides. We have annual film festivals. We have art events. We have serious events, which is very limited to activist circle where they discuss way forward, what are the rights, how to create anti-discrimination policies in corporates or in government fields. So very specific. Now events have become specific to the kind of audience. Initially, it used to be like everyone come together for all the events.
I see. And so you would have a Pride event, but do most of your major cities have what we would consider safe space in terms of a gay bar, an LGBT? Do most of your cities have places like that?
No, we don't have gay bars yet, but it's. I think just this year we see a lot of cafes coming up, restaurants or cafes who are LGBTQ, where they are hiring trans people. Even we are trying to have a similar project in Pune. Fingers crossed, maybe we'll be successful. We are not yet there, but we started something last week called Stories Cafe to make it a safe space where people could come, have support group things for different coming out issues, for health issues, or create our own safe space, especially space for trans men. Trans men are most invisible within the community as well, if we look at. So trying to create more safe spaces for everyone from the LGBTQ community.
I see. I'm curious, a lot of our audience will not, perhaps does not realize that India is the largest democracy in the world. With coming to just recently 377 in making homosexual sexual conduct no longer illegal and thus legal, does the Indian LGBTQ community feel isolated in the world? You're a democracy that has access to all information. You're on all of the social media platforms. There's no censorship. Generally, there's no censorship of information. So you can see what's going on in the LGBTQ community in India, of what's going on all over the world. Do you feel isolated at all? Do Indian LGBT feel isolated?
No, I don't think they feel isolated, but I think there is still a fear of what would the society think? Will my family name be spoiled? And there are certain things that still is in people's mind, which makes them still like I would say 50% of people compared to before 377 have come out now. But there are still 50% of people who live in closet, who are married and live a dual life. So it'll take more time. As we get more rights, I think people will start feeling comfortable being who they are.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, as an advocate for LGBTQ community, and we're going to talk about what you do in India in a moment, but you believe still more than half of LGBTQ identifying members of the Indian community are in the closet, not revealing who they are. More than half. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We see mostly youngsters coming out these days after 3. A lot of youngsters from college and early school are feeling comfortable to talk about their sexuality or share about their sexuality with their classmates.
Yeah. Yeah, and Gen Z, we talk a lot about that in America. Gen Z are identifying as LGBT twice the rate as other generational identifications. Is that true in India? Millennial, it's a little lower. Gen X, a little lower. Baby boomer, the lowest in terms of coming out identifying. Is that true in India?
Yes. Yes, it's true in India too.
Yeah. Okay. I want to ask about Indian perspective in the LGBTQ community on the West, but specifically America. This is a great opportunity to hear your point of view and what LGBT India thinks about America and what they think about our LGBTQ community. What kind of reactions are there to our community in India?
That's a very interesting question. I think people here think Americans are very accepting. It's easy to be gay in the US. There's no issues at all. When we tell them that, no, look, we don't have gay bashing in India, but they have gay bashing sometimes, it's very difficult for people here to believe that there are issues even in America. They think there is no problem at all in the US.
Yeah, yeah. And do Indian LGBT, are they following the politics that are going on? After all, I'm broadcasting from Fort Lauderdale in Florida. We have Governor Ron DeSantis, which I'm sure is known in India. We have Donald Trump. Mar-a-Lago is only 37 miles from this studio, so we have the Gang of One and then the Gang of Two right on top of us here in Florida. Is the Indian LGBTQ community aware of the kind of culture war that's kicked off in America over the last couple of years?
A little bit, I would say, a little bit. They're not really so concerned about. Mostly people who want to change their lifestyle go to US or Canada and live, start reading about the politics. But I think rest are. I don't even like the politics that people in the Indian LGBTQ community have sometimes. So,
yeah. Is there much desire for the Indian LGBTQ community to come to America, to come to a place like Fort Lauderdale and South Florida? Is there much desire to come and see and visit what's going on in the queer community in America?
Yes. A lot of people, in fact, think they would just move out of India and then they don't have to face their family, or their family doesn't have to face all the discrimination that goes around or judgments that goes around. So a lot of people try moving away to US or Canada. So most of my friends, while I was growing up, I would say most of them now don't live in India. They're all in the US or living
they're
away
in the
from their
US
families.
or the UK. Oh, they have
UK,
already left. Yeah, I understand.
correct. Yeah.
And for have you been to America?
Recently, this was
Yeah.
the first time. It was like a few months ago. Yeah.
Tell us, where did you go?
I was living with my friend at Minneapolis.
In Minneapolis, not necessarily the gayest city in America, but your impressions of LGBTQ community when you were in Minneapolis and what you saw here. How did it differ from your life in India or in Pune, etc.?
I felt people in the US are somehow interested in contributing to the community, whether it could be financially, or if they're not financially strong, they want to give an hour to the community centers around. So I've noticed that a lot in the US, which I see it's very difficult in India. Everyone who volunteers here would still want us to pay them for that volunteering opportunity. They think the nonprofits have a lot of money and they can just pay everyone. That's one of the things I've noticed, which is very different in terms of talking about, if you talk about a hungry child, they'll be ready to volunteer in India, but they think LGBT doesn't need any kind of volunteering.
Yeah.
That's the mindset that
I see.
people have with it.
Yeah, interesting. Let's talk about you personally for a moment. Quite an influencer in India and your nonprofit work and in activism for LGBT. I interact with many activists in our community in various different ways, whether it be health or racial minority or political, etc. So let's talk about you for a minute. I was reading about you, and one of the things that popped right off the page for me is you were 2020's Mr. Gay India. Now, I participated in Mr. Gay World and went to the USA contest, and our winner was runner-up at Mr. Gay World. For Mr. Gay India, tell us a little bit about what that experience is like. We're showing some pictures from it in India. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Gay India.
I never thought I would be taking part at Mr. Gay India. It was my friends who were like, "You're doing so much of work for the community. Why do people like you need to be going there?" And without me knowing, one of my friends registered me for Mr. Gay India, and just last 2 days before I left, I got an email that you've been selected, and then it was just 2 days to go. All my other friends were like, "Oh, come on, you need to do it," and they helped me pack my bags. My partner had a schedule, what would I wear at what time, and uh, literally, I would say my victory was all my friends and my followers and my partner who helped me win. Uh, because I was not a Mr. Congeniality, I did not win Mr. Good Looking Face, or I don't remember the exact term. Neither I won the sports round. I won everything related to answering about the LGBT community, the panel round, the written test. I won everything related to good information about where the community, the history of the community, and all those things which made me win, and public votes. I I think I won the most of the votes for public, and those were the reasons that made me win,
So
Mr. Gay. And
you
you were
won.
lucky that you went. You were lucky you went to Mr. Gay World. I had lockdown. COVID didn't let me go there.
So you won all of the smart things, all of the interview and the speech
Yeah,
portions of the platform. Very interesting. Did you enjoy it?
yeah.
Was it a strange feeling for you to compete in a male gay pageant? Was that a strange feeling for you?
As an activist, I did have a lot of questions about why do we only have Mr. Gay India? Why don't we have something for non-binary, for trans folks? Why don't we have anything for lesbian folks? And then I realized that's okay. Let me go in there and see if we can make a change. I can't judge them sitting outside. So I thought, let me at least try it for an experience. I never expected to win win the contest.
That's very funny. We broadcast the USA version of this pageant or contest, however you would refer to it, right here in Fort Lauderdale, near just about 100 yards from this broadcast studio and the big theater that was held for the event. And our USA winner went on to win runner-up in South Africa this year.
South Africa.
Yeah, in South Africa, and it is. Was it strange for India to have a pageant contest like this for Mr. Gay India when before 377 it was basically illegal to have sexual activity? Did it feel strange to have a pageant like this in 2020 that you were competing in?
I don't think there was much difficulties in terms of if you had convinced the space to give you to create these pageants. The difficulty was finding a person who will be okay to be open on television, who will be okay to go out and represent the country. So those were the difficulties to find more participants before 377. Now I see a lot of people are interested to take part. Now they're okay to stand up and say that they are gay on a TV show or even represent the country in any international pageants.
Yeah.
But it was difficult to find representatives before 377.
Yeah. We remind our viewing audience of how potentially significant the LGBTQ community is, but specifically LGBT community in India. If you accept general at the lowest threshold of 3 to 4% of community population being LGBT, that would mean estimates in India are between 40 and 50 million are queer identifying in India. It's a gigantic number that we are talking about. Gigantic. I want to talk about your job for your state, like Florida in the United States. For your state, I understand you're a coordinator at All India Professionals Congress. Explain to me a little bit about your job and what you do in India.
Okay, so this is not a paid job. It's my passion to work for the community. So, All India Professional Congress is a wing of the Indian National Congress, where we want to encourage professionals to talk about politics, get involved in politics if there are changes needed in their fields, in their work, to voice that out, and we bring that together. So there are multiple different sections within All India Professional Congress. It could be for MSMEs, it could be for manufacturing industry. So similarly, I take care of the LGBTQ affairs. So we want to talk about issues that LGBTQ people face at work or while they're studying, or if they're joining any of the jobs, if there are policies to be changed. And also we want to educate the National Congress about existence of LGBT community, and there should be a representative in politics as well. So these are the things that we try to do in my, I would call it a evening job.
Right. All right. So you have this as your passion job, and you also have a work job. As being an activist, as a volunteer in this activism in India, is it rewarding from the standpoint you'd like to see it move into a full-time paid position? And what becomes next for you in what you're doing in your activism?
I don't see, I don't know if I want to make it like a full-time paid position. So initially I used to work for some companies for like a payroll firm. I also worked for BPOs to start with. I started working very early. I also had responsibility to take care of a family like my parents and things. So later when recently lost my parents before COVID, and that's when I realized when I'm starting an organization like a support group, I need to give it more time. And when I started doing what I love, the passion, I see that I was just growing. I was not worried about money, but then it came automatically to support me in terms of friends, in terms of corporates who know my work, in terms like even this All India Professional Congress, they reached out to me and said, "You like doing this? Why don't you join us?" So before that, when I was always worried that, oh, I need to make sure I have a paycheck every month, I would just do it for the sake of doing, just to earn that money, but it was not a passion.
Yeah,
so I didn't grow much in that.
And apparently quite successful. I read that your 2022's LGBTQ Digital Influencer Award winner, and you're the winner of the Pune Mirror Hall of Fame for sustainable work in the field of LGBTQ plus empowerment. Tell us about those kind of recognitions, that you're starting to be recognized for your achievements in LGBT activism.
Yeah, so after I gave my full time to the LGBT community, I also realized that funds were very difficult to create any kind of safe space or to create an awareness campaign. We started as a non-registered collective. I started this in 2009. So I always used my salary, some amount of my salary, or my friends contributed. That's how we did small little activities. But later, when it started growing, that little amount did not work out. We needed more funds, and nobody would donate other than my friends and few people. So we started creating safe space with an entry fee. Like we started doing gay parties in Pune. I started a website called lgbtq.co.in, which is like a single place where queer entrepreneurs could come and put up their products to sell, which is creating an revenue or employment kind of entrepreneurship, encouraging people to be entrepreneurs. Other than that, we started sharing people's stories and poetries on this site. We started doing film festivals for awareness. So everything started generating revenue to run our own cause. So we, during COVID, we had distributed like 2,000 ration kits to the trans community who rely on begging or sex work. Similarly, we also help them get ART, the HIV medicine, when they were not allowed to go outside home. So we delivered that to them. And during this time, we also realized other than HIV, trans people have many other issues, but they are not aware of insurance. They don't know how insurance works. And the government insurance was not that helpful. It was not easy to get. You needed ID card that said you are a trans person. So we started, even last year, we insured almost 30 to 40 trans people with our own money that we earned by these parties or our website kind of thing. Yeah. So that's when we started getting recognized that we are not relying on people to give us the money, and we are earning that to do the service that we want to do for the community.
Yeah, Shyam, I congratulate you for that, because as you're going through the list of in a volunteer or scraping together whatever money is possible to stand up for LGBT, trans community, etc., is quite amazing. That would be an amazing accomplishment in America, and the difficulty in India is just modified. And of course, you're being rewarded and recognized for that. I read that Entrepreneur Today recognized you as the Under 40 award-winning winner in the category of NGO and social entrepreneurs. Congratulations for that award.
Thank you.
When you got recognized as being one of India's outstanding under 40, especially in the stream of LGBT, what was your reaction to that when you win recognition like that from
I was first of all surprised. I didn't realize that even social work comes under entrepreneurship. Yes, I know it's the way we worked brought it into that category, but I was surprised and happy. And I'm waiting when it would directly start rewarding my organization and not just Shyam. So fingers crossed, maybe our organization also starts winning those awards and not just me as an individual.
Yeah, well, it starts with someone, and someone then turns it into something, and that's what we're watching with you, Shyam. I have to, and we're sharing, and through the at the end of the interview, we'll share all of the contact information. If you'd like to reach out and help Shyam and help what is going on in India, dramatic things are going on in India. It's arguably one of the most topical places for LGBTQ in the entire world. With 377 finally making it legal to have choice sexual content between two men, two women, etc. Last thing I want to ask you about, Shyam, is in Pune. You came to Queer News Tonight's attention because of our resourcing that's drawn in Pune. I was mentioning, you know, we're doing stories all over the world, telling stories not only here in South Florida and Florida, but all over the U.S. and all over the world. And one of our principal reporters writing stories is based in Pune. And and she came to the company as a lesbian. And just starting to try to live a more out experience, but it gave her the ability to support the LGBTQ community through Queer News Tonight. What's your reaction that one of our principal story writers for Queer News Tonight in America lives there in Pune?
I was really surprised to even see two others at our party this weekend. And they told me about this, that they have a writer to here. I was really surprised, and I'm like, oh, I thought there's really less people who get involved in queer activities in Pune, and I'm surprised that you really have a team here. I would like to meet them again and see how everything else is working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can see my voice. I'm still surprised. I still can't believe this is happening.
Yes, it's funny. I tell, in fact, I had a meeting yesterday with one of the leading lesbian advocacy organizations in the country, the executive director yesterday, and told this story of Hamangi is her name, working as a reporter and news writer for Queer News Tonight, and she was just stunned, shocked. And it's a great moment, I think, for the diversity of our organization and the importance of India and what we're watching for the LGBTQ community. And Shyam Konnur, you're right dead center in the heart of that expansion of civil rights for LGBT. Thank you so much. We're going to be following you, and we're following India for sure, no question about it. And we wish you all the luck. And again, if you'd like to support Shyam and the efforts that are going on in India, we're going to give you that information at the end of the interview. Shyam, thank you very much for being with us all the way across the world live on Queer News Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a wonderful day.